Imagine if you were a badass at making money. In this video, we're going to talk about one of the greatest books of money I've ever read that's allowed me to probably about 5 or 10x my income. So imagine what it can do for you. And I'm going to break down the biggest ideas. I've probably read this book 15 times. It's called You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. And you may have heard her from the other original series out of the Badass books. It was called You Are a Badass, period. No, you are a badass at making money. So here we go. This is You Are a Badass at Making Money. Let's dive right into this. This is going to change your life, and it's the #1 book I think you should probably read in 2019. If you have not subscribed yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button right over there and hit the bell notification, because that's what's going to notify you for new videos. Subscribe, bell notification. Let's get right to the video. Okay, so I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to how I read. When I find books that I like, I reread them and reread and reread and reread and reread. And this is a book that I reread and read over and over. I probably read the physical 3 or 4 times. And I've probably done the audiobook 10 or 15 times. Every time I fly back from San Diego to Maui, I listen to it. Every time I drive, I listen to it. So this is a book that I come to know very, very well. Now, the reason that I reread the same books over and over is so that I can get the essence of what the author is saying. And in this book, this is the story of Jen Sincero, who was a freelance writer who, in her own words, was such a freelance writer, she was doing her work for free because she couldn't make any money. And she tells stories of actually having to stitch up her own cat. She tells stories of needing to duct tape her own wrist. Why? These were all because she didn't have any money. And she was a person that was living an awesome life on the side. She was in a rock band, and she was young, and she was having fun with her life. And she was broke. And she always said, you know, money's not that important. You know, screw rich people. They don't understand how to be happy. I don't need money. This isn't a big deal. And these things kept mounting on her life as unconscious stress. And it climaxed at times where her friends would say, hey, you want to go out to dinner? And it became her automated excuse to say, I can't, I'm broke. Now, this is a woman who was saying she wanted to live her dream, yet she was inhibited in her ability to do so because she didn't have any money, nor did she have a positive relationship with money. She is now a multi-millionaire, and it's a fantastic story that all really begins to implode on itself. She held up an idea that money wasn't important, and she held up an idea that she didn't need it. And she was fine the way she was. She was always going to be fine. And she was stuck in this state of mind. And it finally got so bad that she said, look, I need money. I can't take this anymore. I need to change my life. And she picked up a book, which I've mentioned on this channel, called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. Now, the first sentence of that book, Jen says, and I love this first sentence, Wallace Wattles says that essentially that you have a right to be rich and that there's no nobility in being poor. And she said it offended her to her core. So comment down below, which I think is the #1 takeaway out of the book, is you have a right to be rich. Comment down below, I have a right to be rich. Comment down below, I have a right to be rich. I have a right to be rich. That's what you have. And this is what Wallace Wattles suggested, and it pissed Jen Sincero off. Okay, guess what? I went and got my copy of The Science of Getting Rich so I could literally read to you this first line that offended Jen Sincero to her core and caused her to put this book down, continue on her life of total stress and limitations. She was living out of somebody's garage because she couldn't afford rent in her 30s. And then it brought her back to this book again. But here's the sentence. Whatsoever may be said in praise of poverty the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete life or successful one unless one is rich. Let me repeat that. Whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. Now, this offended Jen to her core so much, she says she put the book down and ignored it for another few years. When Jen finally picked up the book Science of Getting Rich again for a second time, years later, it changed her life. Why? Because she realized that she actually was worthy of becoming rich, and it wasn't this greedy Snoopy thing that was going to ruin the world. It actually was something that enhanced not only her life, but everyone's lives around her. She could hire people, she could pay for the things that she wanted, and what it really was God seeking fulfillment through her, right? There's a section in Science of Getting Rich that she repeatedly mentions throughout the book where she says, you know what? I had an identity as someone who was broke. She was a punk rock artist, and she was living the persona as someone that was like, screw the system, I don't need anything, when in actuality, her whole freedom was truly inhibited, even though she was trying to play the card of being a free woman and a free spirit and a free punk rocker. Her whole life was inhibited by the fact that she did not have any money. And when she revisited The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, what she found was, man, this feels very true, that you and I have a right to be rich because there's this universal intelligence that penetrates and it fills the entire universe. It's right here. You can't see it. It's invisible. It's in the cells of your body. It's in money. It's in the walls. It's in everything. It's this intelligence that creates everything. It grows your fingernails. It beats your heart. It keeps your unconscious nervous system functioning. It does all these beautiful things. It's constantly expanding the universe, and more stars are created every single solitary day. And it's within you. And your desire for money, or your desire to live a better life, your desire to drive the car you want to drive, your desire to live in the home you want to live in, or as Jen says, to have surround sound system in every room in your house so you can listen to music and dance while you're washing your clothes. That's really you seeking to experience more life. And that's totally holy and worthy. And something beautiful she says in the book is that the word, and I didn't know this until I read the book, and I probably didn't even catch it till the second or third read through the book. She says that the word desire actually means desire, which is of the Father. So the word desire, your desire for a richer life, whatever that entails, right? Because it's not just necessarily money for the sake of money. It's money for the sake of freedom, money for the sake of moving to a new state or country, money for the sake of driving a certain car that has a beautiful cold breeze because you're driving with the windows down, or money for the sake of putting your children through school or helping your church out, or whatever it is that you want money for. What it really is desire, which means of the Father. So what she's really saying is your desires are holy, actually. It's actually the Father of the universe, the creative intelligence of the universe, seeking fulfillment through you, through your mental faculties, and you here in third dimension, you, this person. It's God seeking fulfillment of that desire through you. And you denying that desire and saying, well, it's not good to have money, and, I shouldn't want more in life. What that really is you denying God, denying the divine intelligence from seeking fulfillment through you. Desire means of the Father. But yet we've been told for so long that desires are somehow unworthy. Religions have told us like it's sinful and it's somehow wrong and bad. Dude, no, it's not at all. It's an opportunity for you to experience more gratitude and appreciation of life. Like, I have a nice car, and it's a convertible, and I love it. It's one of my favorite ways to connect with God. I drive with the top down when it's cold, my seat heater's on full blast, my convertible's down, I have my windows down, my hair's blowing in my face, it's cold on my face, and my lower back and my legs and my hamstrings, everything's so warm from the seat heater, and I'm just like, thank you, this is amazing, I'm so grateful for this. Like, truly, it's one of my favorite things to do. And that desire is really me seeking a greater connection to the universe, because that's how I feel in that moment. It's not a material object to me. It's an opportunity for me to connect deeper to my appreciation to the fact that I'm alive. And it's the same with you. So if anyone's told you you're not worthy, dude, that's the silliest thing ever. And that's what she had to break through in this book. You're totally worthy of everything you desire. Comment that down below. I am worthy of everything that I desire. I am worthy of everything that I desire. Comment that down below, and if that hasn't sunk in yet, make sure that you demo my free success hypnosis. I created a success hypnosis for myself to reprogram the subconscious mind, which is what Jen's about to discuss, which I'll share with you, that changed my life forever. But I created the success hypnosis to rewire my mind so my mind would become a magnet for success, and it's right there down below, jakeshypnosis.com, right there down below. See, the thing that I love about this book is she talks about how she was like, all right, finally I need to change my life. I need to actually make money. I need to change my life. I want to be a person who has money. And she had to totally change her self-image, because before she was a person who said, money isn't important, which I really resonated with that. I used to tell myself that all the time. And she would tell herself these things, so she had to change her self-image. And what she realized in the process was she had set her goals for herself financially, and she had started a business, and she was like doing affirmations and all these things, but she wasn't getting the progress that she truly wanted in her life. And what she discovered was two main things. Number one was, if she started making money, that the people that used to know her as this punk rock lady, they wouldn't think highly of her. And vice versa, if people that started paying her for her services, if they stumbled upon her old self as this punk rock lady, they wouldn't take her seriously. So she had this sense of imposter syndrome. Essentially, in the subconscious, she had feelings of inadequacy and not being enough. And that's just totally blasphemous thinking anyways. Because remember, it's desire of the Father is what Jen says in the book. So your desires are of the Father, meaning the fact that you have the desire in the first place literally means that you're worthy of the desire. Right? Isn't that cool? Whatever your financial or career goals are, you're already worthy of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have them in the first place, because all your thoughts come from universal energy, or God, in other words. And that's really God seeking that fulfillment through you. So you're already worthy of the thing to begin with. So she says, it's one thing to want it consciously, but it's another thing to be aware and to repattern your subconscious. Now, psychologists say we have approximately 65,000 thoughts in a day, that you have 65,000 thoughts in one day. And 95% of those thoughts for you are subconscious, meaning they're habitual, meaning they're like a record player playing themselves out constantly, and they're programmed into you from your earlier years in life. So, if you saw your parents argue over money, which is the number one cause of divorce, meaning the likelihood is the vast majority of us saw our parents argue over money or have problems in respect to money. So that, as a young person, as a child, as a baby, as a young man or young woman, that is implanted into your subconscious mind. So up until the time you're 6 years old, your brain waves are in a similar brainwave state as hypnosis. Meaning, up until the time you're 6 years old, you're pretty much accepting whatever dominant ideas are suggested from the environment around you. Your parents are your environment. The television is the environment. Maybe you were born during a recession, or you were born during a very bad financial time. Maybe your dad or your mom struggled and they blamed it on the government, or they blamed it on rich people. And so you have an association that rich people are bad, or the government is inhibiting you from ever creating any level of success in your life. So these all implant the subconscious mind, and then they control our life. So consciously, Jen's like, hey, I want more money. Hey, I want to do all these things. I want to be successful. But subconsciously, she had a pattern and a governing mechanism for her life that she was actually unaware of, that was inhibiting her from achieving her conscious goals in life. The same thing happened for me, and that's why I resonated with this book so much. I thought rich people were evil. I thought money ruined the world. And I believed that the government and the 1% and like shady rich people were somehow in a conspiracy to keep me from having financial success in my life. And I believed those things. I believed that I would be an evil person if I had it. So I would tell myself, money isn't very important. I don't really need it. I'd rather be happy. Oh, look at all those people with all their money. If they only knew they could be happy. I used to believe those things. And obviously, if I believe those thoughts at all, if you believe those thoughts in any respect, you're telling your subconscious to keep money away from you. Literally, that's what you're doing, because your subconscious does not know the difference between what's real and what's not real. It just accepts whatever ideas about reality that you have, and then it goes about making them a reality for you. And so I believe those things. Therefore, I was constantly pushing money away from me. I was constantly not advancing myself in my career. And I realized that I had to change that. And that's where desire came from, that your desires are from of the Father. And so the question to ask yourself is, what is one or two things that you learned from the adult figures around you? Maybe it was your parents, your guardians, your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents, the news media. What's one thing you heard about money? Was it positive? Was it negative? Was it that rich people are evil? Was it that you got to work really, really hard for money and still you're probably going to, bend over backwards, break your back for it, and it's, you're still going to be broke and the rich people control it? Or what do you believe about money? Because those belief systems you inherited or saw or experienced from the environments around you are implanting your subconscious. And so that's why I eventually created my success hypnosis, was to literally rewire my subconscious mind to change and replace those thought patterns. You can use mine. It's free down below, jakeshypnosis.com, right there down below, jakeshypnosis.com. And you can use them to start to make your subconscious a magnet for money and success in 2019 and beyond. So the book ends with Jen realizing all these things and then starting to apply them in her life and breaking through all of her subconscious fears of not being good enough and not being accepted and being rejected. And she starts her businesses and she's starting to get things going. And then she eventually writes the first book in the series called You Are a Badass. Now that book ends up, you see it in airports, you see it all over the place. She sold millions and millions of dollars worth of that book and became probably a multi-millionaire from that book alone. She even cashed out on the sequel of it from that original book. This is You Are a Badass at Making Money. She had an original called You Are a Badass. So, this was probably a 7-figure, $1 million book advance for the sequel. So she cashed out on it. And it all happened as a gradual process of her changing her relationship with money and truly realizing 2 or 3 primary things, in my opinion. Number 1, she realized that she had a problem financially with her relationship with money, psychologically and mentally, and she needed to change that if she truly wanted to live the life that she wanted. She told herself she was living the life that she wanted, but she really wasn't. She was sleeping on like a floor thing in someone's garage, and she didn't have the life she wanted. She couldn't go to the doctor. She couldn't go to the dentist. She couldn't get her cat help from the cat doctors. She couldn't do any of that stuff. But she told herself that she was living the life that she wanted, but it was denial. And so she accepted the fact that she wasn't where she wanted to be. And then she decided to make a change. And when you decide to make a change in how you view yourself, and you decide to replace belief systems that say money is the root of all evil, I'm not good enough to be successful, somehow this is wrong and I shouldn't want it because somebody else doesn't have something somewhere in the world, like your not having is going to make somebody else have, which is not true. The more you get, the more you're going to be in a position to help expand the abundance of the world, not the less that you get. And she started realizing these things, and that Desire means of the Father, and her desires were truly holy, worthy, and noble. And as she began to face those fears and begin to practice being uncomfortable with those, that's when it opened up the floodgates for her to realize a lot more skills about herself and a lot more potential about herself. It ultimately led to her building a six-figure business as a consultant, which then led to her saying, heck, I can't believe I'm in this position from where I was in debt and all these struggles. I should write a book. I'm going to call it You Are a Badass at Making Money. She wrote the book, sold millions of copies. Now she's a multi-millionaire. Now your story is unwritten financially for what you're truly capable of, but you have millions of dollars within you. You not only have millions of dollars within you, you have skills and talents that you might not know exist. And those skills and talents you can harness to influence the world in a positive way, to bring more hope to people, to bring more joy to people, and to change your own life, to have more freedom and create more freedom from your friends, for your family, for strangers, for charities. You can do all these things, and it's totally worthy, noble, and good, and you're totally worthy of doing it because Desire means of the Father. This is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com, and yeah, this was You Are a Badass at Making Money. This is my first real long-form book review, so please comment down below and say, yo, I love this, if you like it. Obviously, I read a lot of books, yeah, man, so I can make other book reviews if people like them. So comment down below and let me know if you dig this, if you enjoy this. Be sure to support Jen and her story. I think it'll change your life. Like I said, I've read it dozens of times in physical form and in audible form. So go ahead and check the book out. You Are a Badass at Making Money. If you're watching this, Jen, what's up? Nice to meet you. And I dig your book. So thank you for writing it. So hit the subscribe button, the bell notification right over there. Subscribe, bell notification. Comment down below, I have a right to be rich. Comment that down below, I have a right to be rich. And comment down below your number one biggest takeaway from this super long book summary that actually I might need to go rest my voice now. And make sure that you download my free success hypnosis. It's right there down below. JakesHypnosis.com. It's going to change your life. JakesHypnosis.com is totally free.